Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Over Under on Friday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm your host, Harry the Greek. Hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of the Greek bouzouki music. That's what we have to do in the beginning on these shows just so we can share them out there. I'll tell you what, you like our shows, you like the picks, you like the content that we're going to give out on 1252 Sports, do us a favor. Take a moment. Hit the like button, hit the share button, put it on someone's timeline. This is how we grow organically. Now, tonight, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have some decent picks. Went 3 for 3 yesterday on the Thursday night Thanksgiving games. You see, the more boring that they are, that the so-called public claims that they are, the more money you can make. I found them to be pretty easy. Actually, the first two games were pretty easy. The third game was very difficult in my opinion, but we're going to get to that in a little while. If you have a question or comment for the Greek and Pete, dial 727-320-5866. That's 727-320-5866. If you have a question or comment, go ahead and make sure you post it. We're going to go ahead and read it live on the air, and it might even give us a different narrative. I'm not really going to waste too much time. I'm going to go ahead and bring my buddy right in. He's my co-host, the man from the sports web, Mr. Peter Blake. Peter, how are you, buddy?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing? Happy Black Friday. Did you get all your shopping done? I did a little shopping. I did. I think I bought one item, and that's about it. I was done with the whole crowd thing. What about you?
You know what? I didn't really have to do too much other than work. And I mean, when I tell you work, we had to work. It's been quite difficult. I'll tell you what, man, it was a great Thanksgiving. I mean, getting a little stuffed over here. I'm starting to feel like a turkey, but I have to be honest, man. Any Thanksgiving, any holiday that I can still share with one of my parents. My father passed away, for people that know me, for about 8-9 years ago. So you know what? It's always a blast. Had a really good time down here in the beautiful state of Florida on the West Coast. It was, about 75 degrees, not 18 like it is back up at home in Chicago. And we were sitting out in the backyard in a nice tent. It started to get a little nipply out at nighttime. So we had to turn that little bonfire on a little bit, Peter. It was great.
Yeah, it sounds like it's great. It sounds like you put on some LBs just like yours truly here. But, after having that helping, I got my gravy, I got my turkey, I got my sweet potato yams with the marshmallows. I'm pretty much done. Now I'm back to eating chicken, being on some type of diet, if you will, and ready to talk some football. We had some games yesterday that were pretty interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, they were. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and pull the first comment up. Terrence Nichols. Terrence, how are you, my brother? Terrence is from the Chicago Clubhouse podcast. Great shows on there. They have some great guests. I love the cross-pollinating that they do. Peter, I can't wait for you to meet Terrence one time.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. I'm telling you what.
Sounds great.
And I like the way
Are we excited? Are we gonna have fun tonight? I'm gonna have fun. We're gonna get excited here.
Of course, we're gonna have fun and get some excitement going on. But you know what I really like about these northern platforms is everybody plays well in the sandbox together.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. Technically, they all do. It's amazing what happens. It's a lot of fun. Hey,
you mean there's actually mutual respect between other platforms? Wow, that is unbelievable.
That's hard to find now.
Yeah.
It is hard to find.
It is.
It's a little inside thing between Peter and I.
Mm-hmm. Sure it is.
Hey, I want to ask you about a couple questions about the game yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's start with New Orleans and Buffalo. Buffalo was a 6.5 point, in some cases, a 7-point favorite on the road in New Orleans. A lot of people really like New Orleans in that game because of the defense. But why? Peter, seriously, why?
I have no idea.
Why did I struggle with the game in the beginning? The game started out 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
I actually waited to see the first couple of drives. Then I decided to make an in-game live wager.
Right.
And call me a fool. I laid 13.5 points. I just couldn't make my mind up prior to the game. So I ended up laying even twice the amount of points, which was even riskier, but it ended up turning out right for me, so that was a good thing.
I mean,
who did you like in that game?
Buffalo. Buffalo needed the win. Look, the way they played against the Colts, you could see it all day long. And then on top of it, we've been through this time in and time again with the Saints. They don't have a quarterback. You don't have Alvin Kamara. You don't have Mark Ingram. The defense has been on the field. They're good against the rush, but against the pass, they're pretty much average. And you could see that last night with Stephon Diggs' performance versus Marshawn Lattimore. So I would have loved Buffalo all day long. In fact, I was going to call you and say, do we do a parlay? Do you go with the Buffalo Bills over the Saints? Do you go with the Cowboys over the Raiders, which didn't necessarily work out, did it? Thanks a lot, Cowboys, for playing. And then, of course, the Bears over the Lions. To me, that would have been some good picks. But, of course, I would have gotten the Cowboy game wrong because who can figure out the Cowboys at this point? They're clearly schizophrenic. And, oh, by the way, thanks a lot, referees, for ruining the game with all the stupid flags that you had. We love that. We always love when you stop the game. It's great.
It kind of reminded you of the game a couple of weeks ago when the Bears were playing Pittsburgh. Not as egregious as those calls that were in Pittsburgh, but Peter, I'm surprised you didn't take my advice in that game because I said the first two games that I really liked. And I need to clarify something because originally when I gave the game out, the game was -3. But I actually said with the Bears, that line was coming down as the injury reports kept coming out. I ended up getting the game at 1.5 and 2. The 2 I pushed, the 1.5 I ended up covering. But the second game that I talked about, and a matter of fact, Dennis Phillips was on the Sports Web with you, and he was on Detroit and Dallas and New Orleans. And I was like, Dennis, nothing personal, but I like the opposite of everything that you were saying.
Yeah.
And it ended up being really good for me, to be honest with you. But man,
he actually liked the Raiders in that game because it's what
no.
I thought he liked.
No, he go back to your tape. He liked Dallas in that game.
Wow.
And I turned around and explained something to you that I says, look, for these reasons, that the Raiders could possibly be the play there. I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. You know how that goes, Peter. Any day of the week, I'd rather be lucky than good. You know what I want to do? I want to give a shout out to my boy Banner, Tom Banner. He's down from the Chicago area. He's visiting Derby Lane down here in the beautiful St. Pete area. He's out at Derby Lane right now with my man Tony, Champagne Tony himself, and Thor and the whole 9 yards. They're just having an absolute great time. And if anybody doesn't know what Derby Lane is a Greyhound track. How we have Chicago, how we have horse tracks across the country. There's actually tracks that run and race greyhounds for parimutuel wagering. Even though it's illegal in the state of Florida, they can still take it simulcast. Simulcast is like an OTB, if I may say, for people up in Chicago and around the Midwest that are saying, what's simulcast?
I'll tell you right now, my dog, which is a Louisiana hunting dog, Catahoula, he runs like a greyhound sometimes. In fact, he tried to run like a greyhound last night after I had that big time Thanksgiving dinner, and that didn't turn out too well for either of us. Just saying.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, that dog's a magnet for chicks, okay? I mean, you've been telling me he takes off from the house. Is this your dog? Oh, yes, it is.
I do that sometimes when the dog tries to run.
Hi, I'm Peter Blake. Here's my business card. I'm from the Sports Web.
Yeah, exactly. Down the street, running down the street. I'm like, trying to introduce myself. My dog's like, roar, 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 tree. I'm like, okay, there's the tree. You always see the tree here. Let's go ahead and try to socialize a little bit. You're not doing your job. You're supposed to be doing your job. You got one job, and that's to attract the opposite sex. And you failed miserably by trying to run me down the hill while my tummy is full. So, again, didn't work out too well. I got some back problems because of it. Thanks a lot, Alexander. Appreciate you. You're awesome.
Poor Alexander. They always say we don't pick our animals. Our animals pick us.
Yes.
I mean, really go think about it.
Oh,
they actually pick us. But anyway, Adam Padermo Rivera. Adam, happy Thanksgiving, bud. Thank you so much for commenting and watching the over-under with the Greek and Pete. What's up, Harry and Peter? Had Josh Jacobs and Hunter Renfrow on my lineup. Because I listened to the Greek, Peter, went well for me on my Thanksgiving. Not a problem, Adam. My Cash App.
That's it. Send those funds.
Send it over, bro.
Yep, that's it. Send those funds as soon as possible. And
brother, not the typical $2. All right, come on.
No, nobody wants the $2. Who wants that? $2. I don't want $2.
Kyle Nickel, hello, Harry and Peter. How are we doing tonight? Kyle, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm doing great, Peter.
I'm doing great. It's another great day when you wake up in the morning. Of course, if you have acid reflux, which is what I had last night, after all that supposed good eating, then yeah, maybe it doesn't necessarily work out into your favor. But besides that, I'm good. I'm really good.
Well, you had the acid reflux, but at least you had the cream to get rid of the rash.
I'll tell you right now, I feel bad for a Cowboy fan and feel bad for a Raider fan, especially Cowboys. I mean, they must have had acid reflux after all the pass interference penalties that Anthony Brown had yesterday. And some Cowboy fans were complaining about it. Guy's not even looking back at the ball. He's face guarding the whole time. Of course the ref's going to call it.
Yeah, I can imagine that's going to happen. But Buffalo, going back to the Buffalo game, they needed that game, correct? Because they have to keep pace with who? The New England Patriots, the team that I claimed that was going to win the AFC. Look, everybody thought I was crazy. I still think I was crazy. I just can't believe that the way Belichick has this team evolving this year and getting better every single week. They paid a lot of money. Let me tell you something. The Crafts spent a ton of money on that defense, and I thought it was all for naught. I did not like the way they looked the first 3-4 games of the season.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, it just started working, and it just started clicking, and they're getting that mo. And I'm telling you, that mo is pretty good. Troy Polamalu says, in Greece, Thanksgiving is for Yankee Malakas.
Boy, I did not miss you at all. Actually,
I miss him. Troy Polamalu, King Troy. Peter is doing laundry, so he was stuck wearing a Rays shirt.
I like my Rays shirt. In fact, this is exactly what I bought today. I bought one shirt. That's it. I took Herman Edwards' advice. One shirt, one watch, one car, one house. Today, I bought one shirt, and that's
you sound like Jake from the Blues Brothers.
This is a Chicago podcast, right? A Chicago show?
Yes, it is.
Sports, so there you go. I'm fitting right in here. But Troy Polamalu, we definitely miss you, and we always love the support here on the Over Under.
Questions or comments, 727-320-5866. If you have a question for the Greek and Pete, it's 727-320-5866. I'm your host, Harry the Greek, along with Peter Blake, my co-host from the Sports Web. And, Pete, I don't know, man. A lot of people were pretty they had some mixed emotions on the Chicago Bear win. I still say a win is a win, in my opinion. It really is. A win is a win. You can only beat who's on your schedule, okay? And there's like, well, they beat a decrepit Detroit Lions team. Hey, bro, how banged up is this Bears team? Hold on, let me think. You have your two best defensive players on the shelf in Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks. Don't believe Eddie Goldman was playing. You're playing with a makeshift secondary. In one corner. You demoted one of your nickel corners. Oh, did I tell you that Allen Robinson didn't play?
Right.
I don't know. We're playing with a 100-year-old tight end with Jimmy Graham. You still got a banged up offensive line. Give me a break.
You're playing with the 120-year-old Jason Peters on the left side, somehow getting it done. You're exactly right. The Lions have played tough all year around. They're going to give you everything you got, and a win is a win after the debacle the last 2 weeks versus the Steelers. And, of course, the Ravens game, which I watched with you, could not believe that defense could not get off the field versus a second or third string quarterback. They let him basically go right down the field, spoiling Andy Dalton's return to that Bears lineup and possible heroics, if you will.
Well, it was going to be heroic. I mean, it wasn't Andy Dalton's fault. And everybody's down on Andy. Look, in the city of Chicago, everybody's favorite quarterback is the second stringer, except for this one.
Sure.
No, really. I want you to think about this. Every year, this team and the fan base is enamored with the backup quarterback. But then again, you can say that about most NFL teams, okay?
Besides the ones that have the established quarterbacks.
Correct.
You never hear a peep out of Green Bay unless Aaron Rodgers wants out. Of course,
no, you did hear a peep out of Green Bay even for a while there until they got to see what Jordan Love was all about. But that's for another conversation.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
But look, I'm not anointing Andy Dalton to be the starter in Chicago forever, but there is zero reason why he cannot be the starter for this year, and you give Justin Fields spot starts, plays to come in for a couple of series, because quite honestly, behind this line, you can see the progression in him in week to week, but it's not progressing like he's supposed to. If anything, I'm watching Justin Fields regress. Okay.
Well, he's getting beat up. I mean, because the
That's
offensive
part
line
of
is not good enough. And even though you like his mobility and the things he can do, he's also putting him into dangerous situations,
without question.
Baltimore with, ribs and everything like that. And those type of hits not only physically hurt you, but mentally hurt you. That's where you regress. That's where you have to alleviate those type of things from a rookie passer or a young passer, because if you can alleviate those things, and when you put him in that situation, like a Patrick Mahomes, who had to sit on the bench for a year under an Alex Smith. I've never been an Andy Dalton fan, but I tell you right now, I was impressed with the way he played against the Baltimore Ravens. And going forward, as I'm going to kind of go back on what I said about Justin Fields, I feel like Andy Dalton can win you more games at this point than Justin Fields. The problem with that is if you put him on the bench, do you ruin his psyche? Do you ruin mental toughness?
No. Let me tell you something, because I've listened to the interviews of Justin Fields. I mean, let's not kid anybody. The man wants to start, and you can't blame him. Okay.
Right.
He's a competitor. He is the future of this football team. And when Justin Fields, in the beginning part of the year, I remember the interview, and he made a comment into the Chicago media stipulating they were booing Andy Dalton and everything else. And he took offense to it and made a comment and said, hey, look, that's not the right thing to do. Okay.
Right.
Look, he's a stand-up guy. He is a very, very, very smart young man. He's still very slow with the delivery of his football. It looks like he's getting a smidge better at reading the defenses, but there are certain things on his mechanics while he's in the pocket that he needs to improve on. But you're not going to improve in the pocket when you do have a slow delivery and you try to scale the pocket to get up to deliver the football. And I watched it. He took some really unnecessary hits that were marginal on being rough in the passer that weren't being called in that Baltimore game.
Sure.
Had that been Andy Dalton, the ball would have been out. Then he would have got hit, and then you would have seen the tissue paper, because the ball comes out of Andy Dalton's hand a little bit faster. Now, Dalton doesn't have the arm. It was apparent when he threw that interception yesterday into the end zone where it could have been caught, but it was slightly overthrown. It wasn't put into a spot. Sure. That's where Justin Fields really excels, because I'll tell you what, those 25-yard out patterns, they're a thing of beauty. Mm-hmm. You got a safety underneath, a linebacker to the side, and a corner over the top, and he is absolutely dropping the ball in there in a hole this big. It's a thing of beauty. His problem is when he's in the pocket, the ball's coming from Kansas to Canada and out to California. It's not up here and out. It's not 1, 2, 3, bang. He's trying to go through his progressions. You know what? It's going to happen when experience sits in, when he sits back and he watches a little bit. But unfortunately, the city of Chicago, the fan base, they've all had a taste of Justin Fields. They really like what they see. And when he gets healthy again, he's going to be the starter.
Yeah. Well, his pocket awareness has to improve.
It is improving.
It's improving, but it's not going to improve overnight. So how do you improve that pocket awareness? You get him playing time, but I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. And not only does it, take him to go through those progressions, if you will, but also those wide receivers. Without an Allen Robinson, you're at a disadvantage. So those other guys, they have to beat their one-on-ones. And when they're not doing that, and then you have a quarterback that's going through the motions at that point as a rookie quarterback, going through his bumps in the road, then it's a combination of what you saw against Baltimore. You see some really good throws, and then at the end of the day, you see some really bad throws, and you see also some massive hits that your future franchise quarterback shouldn't be taking. So if you see that, then you start to cringe a little bit, because that in itself, those hits can ruin his psyche. It does ruin some quarterbacks, because then you start to see ghosts. You start trying to get rid of the ball quicker. And once you basically decide to, mess up the timing of that quarterback, then basically it's over. Then you have some turnovers. You have some situations where there's incomplete passes. There's throws behind the receiver. You have a scared quarterback, and basically you ruined his development as a rookie quarterback.
It can happen. I think he's too strong mentally to let that happen. I
You
think
hope
if
so.
it was, it's a blessing in disguise that he's injured. And I don't wish anybody any kind of injury. He really needed to grab a little bit of pine.
Sure.
Okay. I personally believe next year, God willing, he stays healthy, you're going to see a much better, much more polished type of pocket passer. He's a lot better in the pocket than people are going to give him credit for. He just needs to learn how to deliver the ball just a little bit faster. Okay.
Agreed.
There's no doubt that he can read a field running to the left and or the right. He can throw from either side of the field running. It's not like a Patrick Mahomes where Mahomes has got to run 95% of his rollouts to the right.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Which is true. And he has a propensity of trying to throw the ball across his body.
Which is a no-no. Right.
And I don't see that very much with Justin Fields,
No.
which is actually very refreshing. But I will tell you this. I seen 11 dropbacks in the pocket. Okay. 7 of them resulted in hits. And he still stood up and stepped into the throw rather than doing what Trubisky and or Cutler on this team and or Grossman or another 100 quarterbacks that I've seen falling on their back foot and trying to squeeze it into a window. I've seen Justin Fields throw the ball out of the bounds. I've also seen Justin Fields try to make that play and threw it to the other team. Not because he felt the pressure, because he didn't see the player and he's not reading the coverages the way he's supposed to. Next year, he'll limit those mistakes. Those are my opinions. I have watched him grow, and now I've started to watch him regress a little bit. And the reason why you're starting to watch him regress is because teams have a playbook on this young man.
Correct.
They know he's not comfortable in the pocket, so they're going to try to keep him in there. And talking about the pocket, let's talk about the 40-year-old left tackle, who, by the way, is playing the best football on that offensive line, including their star right tackle that they found as a steal in the draft with Jason Bourne. He's pass blocking extraordinarily well. He is the best run blocker that this team has right now. The man's 40 years old, and he was 3rd on the depth chart. Do you keep him next year, Peter, for his guidance, for his mentorship and his leadership to swing from left to right?
Sure, why not? I mean, if he's not going to cost you that much money and he can be that veteran presence, if you will, to tutor a Tevin Jenkins who's coming back from injury, to tutor a Larry Borum on that right side. Absolutely. Why not? If it doesn't cost you that much money, it just depends on if Peters wants to play, if he still has something left in the tank, and it certainly seems like he does. But at the end of the day, you can't put a price, right, on veteran leadership, and that's exactly what Peters brings to the party.
Absolutely. We're going to get to some of the comments really quick. Kyle says, with the Cowboys stumbling and the ease of the schedule remaining for Philly, what do you think the chances are of Philly taking the East?
They're going to. They're going to.
Wow, that's strong, Peter. Give your reasons.
And I'll tell you why I'm convinced, because first and foremost, the Dallas Cowboys don't have a consistent running game. Their offensive line is off injured and inconsistent. And on top of it, their defense is made up by a couple good players, maybe a Micah Parsons, who's absolutely played out of his mind. But besides that, they're too inconsistent of a team. They're too up and down. You want to get on that bandwagon and say the Cowboys are a Super Bowl contender. Hell, they may not even make the playoffs, and they don't deserve to make the playoffs with the way they played yesterday versus a Raiders team, which they should have beaten. But you know what? With the penalty situation, with the sloppiness, with their defense not being able to make stops, you have Dak Prescott, you have Amari Cooper, you have all these great shiny weapons, and yet you can only produce so many points. The Dallas Cowboys are going to do what they always do in December and January, and that is choke city. It is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles who are going to win the division. Sorry, Cowboy fans, but I'm convinced at this juncture.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What was the one thing that I was saying? Week 1, leading up to week 1, what was my assessment of the Cowboys? And then I'm going to give you my reasons.
You said they don't have a defense that's consistent enough, and they don't. Parsons is a talented player who just eclipsed DeMarcus Ware's rookie record, but you need more than one player at that point. And when you're committing critical penalties at critical times with pass interference and you're doing it over and over again, That's not only on the players, that's on coaching. And the unfortunate thing at the end of the day is Jimmy Jones, or what's his name? Forgot his name here. The owner of this team,
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. As long as Skeletor is in charge of the Dallas Cowboys, the Cowboys are going absolutely nowhere. They are a tease at the bar. They're going to tease you early. You're going to think they're going to be really good, a playoff contender, even a Super Bowl contender because of all the talent. But at the end of the day, when it's time to finish things, they will finish second runner-up.
Here, Dallas is 7-4 right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're 2-0 in their division. Philadelphia is 5-6, and they're 0-1-0. They really haven't played in their division yet. Look, both have played 11 games. They've got 2 games in hand with Dallas, and they're 2 games behind. It's going to be tough, Peter. I think Dallas is going to win this division merely by default.
Could it be Washington? We're rolling out Washington.
Washington's 3 games. They're done. And Washington's my game of the week this week, by the way. We're going to get to these picks here really soon.
They're playing hot football right now. You got Taylor Heineke, who's got lots of confidence.
Let's get back to this Dallas and why you think that this team is not going to win the division. I think they're going to win it by default, but you're right. I think Dallas is on a nosedive. I really do.
Yep.
Okay. Ezekiel Elliott, once you fed him in his pocketbook,
washed up. He's washed up. He's the reason why in the football circles, why you don't sign a running back to a contract extension. Do you have to look any further than Ezekiel Elliott? The guy can't stay healthy. He can't stay out of Taco Bell. He's got a terrible diet. On top of it, he's lost a step. His yards per carry have dropped every year. You have Christian McCaffrey, who just signed an extension. He's been injured. You have Alvin Kamara, who deserved it, but he's also been injured. Derrick Henry, you signed him to an extension. He's injured. I would sign Derrick Henry all day long, but those other running backs, that is the reason why they are so undervalued and why you feel like you can get a running back in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round and don't have to re-sign a guy for that much money. When you're devoting that many resources and the running back basically takes a nosedive, hello, Todd Gurley is another running back that did it. That's the reason why they are so undervalued in the National Football League. And Ezekiel Elliott, honestly, if the Cowboys are smart, they'll start Tony Pollard over him because Pollard shows more skill.
Pollard's a beast right now. But that's not going to happen, Peter, because you can't pay millions of dollars to your star running back and put him on the pine.
Because why? Who is pushing for that big-time contract? How about those Cowboys? Jerry Jones. And as long as Jerry Jones and the Jones family are in charge of that team, they are going absolutely nowhere. I don't care if they win the NFC least. They're going to be out in the first round. People are going to say, well, you paid Dak all that money. Well, that's the reason why you paid him all that money. And guess what? You're going to pay the consequences. You're not going to be able to go out in free agency and sign some of these players because you have that albatross of a contract on Prescott in the upcoming years.
That's true, but I still say that Dallas they're going to win the division. They're not as good as what people are talking about, but you want to know something? There's not one team in the NFC right now that is a powerhouse. Not one.
No.
There's so much parity in the National Football League. It's not even funny.
Parity
it's not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No.
It's not the Rams with Matthew Stafford that I proclaim was the best team in the entire National Football League. They showed to be human.
Awful.
Seattle's a dumpster fire right now. The Arizona Cardinals, they can't stay healthy.
But they're still winning. They're still winning at the end of the day. You lose.
I understand they're still winning with smoke and mirrors, Peter.
Right.
It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about teams with under 500 records that are playing better football. The Minnesota Vikings, no defense. The Philadelphia Eagles, who everybody said would finish last in this division. They're playing better than anybody in that division right now.
Why?
But unfortunately, they still may not even make the playoffs, and that's a shame. But if they continue to win, they can't afford many more losses. They're done. The Atlanta Falcons, they're toast. New Orleans Saints there's no Jameis Winston. He's out for the year. You've seen what kind of a debacle that is.
Yep.
Tampa, okay, what's going to happen? Vita Vea going to play, not going to play?
Got to get healthy. You got to get healthy on both sides of the line. You got healthy offensively with Gronkowski. You see the big-time difference. You get Antonio Brown back. That's a big-time get Sean Murphy Bunting was back defensively in that secondary last week. You could get Carlton Davis back. You got to get healthy. If you can get healthy, I definitely think you could be one of the top teams in the National Football League. But until then, there's always going to be questions. But what do we always say? At the end of the day, you never rule out Tom Brady. Tom Brady's will, Tom Brady's competitive fire is a direct reflection on this team. And as long as he's still playing and he's not injured, this team has an opportunity to go a long, long way.
Without question. Going back to the comments, Christopher Cole says, hey, guys. Christopher, thanks so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Yes,
Adam
sir.
Padermo says, you have to admit, guys, Micah Parsons, the truth. The kid's a beast. 100%.
Yes.
But, Adam, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you seen him, and how did he do on coverage on a tight end or a wide receiver coming across the middle?
No. But he's good against the run, and he's good against a quarterback getting after it.
Listen, if you want to be known
right
as a true linebacker in the National Football League, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Micah Parsons, and I'm kind of speak out of both sides of my mouth.
Sure.
He absolutely sucks in coverage.
Right.
Okay.
So what do? You alleviate that coverage. You don't have him.
So how do you take him out of the game? How do you do that?
You don't take him out of the
game. You take him out of the game by making sure he has to cover the middle of the field.
Right.
That's how you take a thumper out.
And what you do is, if you're the Cowboys defensive unit or the coaching staff, you try to put him in the best situations where he can not only get after the passer, but also stop the run. You could see it. And look, Parsons was never a guy that you would doubt with his talent and ability. The red flag with him was the off the field stuff. That's what the thing was. That's the reason why he didn't necessarily go top 5. He has top 5 talent, but he had 10-cent brain when he was in college at Penn State. If he could have stayed out of trouble, more than likely he would have been a top 3 or top 5 pick. Look at the impact he's made on this defense. But at the end of the day, it will not be enough if you continue to commit critical penalties at critical times. And look at who they lost to. The AFC West, you lose to Kansas City. Don't even put up a fight. You lose to the Denver Broncos. You absolutely get ran out of the building in your home. And the Raiders beat you.
Yep.
I mean, you think they're going to be, even if they do make the playoffs and win the NFC East, do you honestly think they're going to go any further than the first round? No.
But you never know. If they get hot and they find the fountain of youth and they do what the Kansas City Chiefs did, which, by the way, I was wrong. I thought Kansas City was washed up about 2-3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And it's not still. Let me tell you something, Peter. Kansas City still has a lot of work to do on the offense. Patrick Mahomes is still a shell of what he was a year and 2 years ago.
Sure.
What's been winning football games for them is they're limiting the amount of turnovers, which they had the worst turnover differential in the entire National Football League.
Correct.
That defense is actually playing football now, Peter.
It is. Chris Jones and Frank Clark. And once again, going back to the Cowboy offensive line, they should donate half of their check to Chris Jones because he was playing harder than that offensive line. In fact, he was dominant against
without question.
Line.
Very good observation. Facebook user, I believe this is Tom Banner.
It is.
At Derby with Tony Thor and the ball and chain. Love it. Hey, you know what? That ball and chain is beautiful. We love you. Christopher Cole says, Lightning are up and leading 3-0 with 7 minutes left in the third. Wow. Thanks for the update.
That's amazing in itself because, look, you're without Nikita Kucherov and you're without Braden Point, and this team continues to keep on getting it done. Why? What's the difference between the Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Lightning? Coaching. Players that want it more than anybody else. That's the difference. They don't talk about injuries. They talk about the next man up. They go out there and be productive. I know it's hockey and football, but it's the same. It is. Yep. And the coaching's not there, by the way. It's not.
Troy Polamalu says Colts are going to whoop the Bucks. We're going to see about that.
Sure they will.
Facebook user, I think that's Tom Banner. Hey, what's your odds in the Florida State game this weekend? It's a great question. Both teams really aren't playing very well this year.
I would say Florida State is playing, and I'll put my fandom aside. I think Florida State is playing a lot better. You get the big win over the Miami Hurricanes. You get a win over Boston College. I get it. It's baby steps. They're starting to find their identity. And then you have the other team there in Florida who just fired Dan Mullen. Your defense nearly lost to, not Stanford, Samford, where they scored 52 points. So to me, both of these teams are going in opposite directions. I think Florida State at this point, I would bet on them, but what the hell do I know? What do you lie on this?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Number one, thanks for the question. Florida's a 3-point favorite over Florida State. And you're correct. They almost lost to Samford, not Stanford. But that Samford team could probably beat Boston College and Miami. Number one.
Right.
Okay, because both of those teams are a dumpster fire. You never know what you're going to get with the Hurricanes. And Boston College, they ought to be ashamed of themselves what they're putting out on the field.
Sure.
Florida State is a shell of what they were. There's a reason why there's a 3-point favorite in this game, because someone has to have the home field advantage. I honestly think that Florida is going to cover the 3 points in this game. It's not a game that I'm going to be touting because the Gators really are not playing very well football. But if I had to pick a team, just due because of the strength of schedule that they've had throughout this year, I'd have to take the Gators for it. Plus, I'm a Gator fan.
Well, you're a Gator fan, but on top of it, you've got Anthony Richardson starting. And to me, number 15 should have started from the very get-go. I don't understand. So much talent and ability. And I'll tell you right now, next year, if he's still there, which is a big if, depending on what coach you get, could be Billy Napier, who's done some good things for a college program and college football. If you can get him and
Urban Meyer is right up the road.
Right. Well,
that's not working out too well for him in Jacksonville right now. Don't be surprised you don't hear his name come up. I'm just saying.
Right. Well, you would think that, maybe some call would be made, but I think Meyer is going to try the NFL, and eventually it's not going to work out like it kind of worked with Nick Saban. In fact, what do you have open at this point? You have LSU.
I think he's actually, you know what? That's odd that you mentioned that. I actually think he's doing a better job than what Nick Saban did. Honestly, I really do. Nick Saban couldn't wait to get out of Miami.
What was Nick Saban's biggest mistake, by the way?
What was it?
Yeah.
Going to the Miami Dolphins and opening up his mouth.
Well, besides that, lying through his teeth about staying and leaving, but his biggest mistake was not taking a chance on a Drew Brees. I mean, can you imagine? I get it. Like people say, well, you have Brees and Peyton, they got to work, cohesively together. But could you imagine if Drew Brees is healthy under a Nick Saban? Maybe it's different. Maybe that's your Dan Marino right there. You're still looking for your Dan Marino. You still haven't found him. That's your Dan Marino right there, Hall of Fame quarterback.
I had a conversation about that a long time ago with a guy that's watching the show tonight. Is Tony, Champagne Tony. He's part of the crew that's over at Derby Lane.
Sure.
And I remember him telling me a long time ago that probably would have ruined his career.
Possible.
Okay, because if everybody remembers correctly, yeah, he was injured, but he was not all that great of a quarterback when he was with the Chargers.
He wasn't bad. He
wasn't great, but trust me when I tell you, he was pedestrian at best. And when he went to New Orleans and he got under Sean Payton and learned that system and realized they didn't have to rely on that right shoulder to throw deep all the time, and they can play that really good West Coast type of offense and be very efficient at it, he flourished. That's why he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's just my opinion. I don't think he had the same career. And I think it was a blessing to Drew Brees for not going. I mean, truthfully.
I agree with you on that.
Questions or comments? 727-320-5866. You got a question for the Greek or Pete? Give me a call, because all I'm hearing is damn crickets out there for some reason. You are posting some comments. And please. I
mean, what's going on? You guys awake? What do you know?
I don't know. I do this for my health. I can't wait to go. I get more respect. I could be at the dog track tonight with my buddies having a couple of beers and going to the bars. And, you know me, Peter. I'm the wild one.
I could be sleeping right now or hanging out with my dog, Alexander.
I'm only kidding. Yeah. No, but seriously, you got a question or comment for the Greek? Repeat it, 727-320-5866. I'm your host on the Over Under. Thank you so much for tuning in. Back to the comments. Kyle says the final game of the season will decide the East. Is Philly at Dallas? Great point, but I'm going to tell you right now, Dallas is going to have to lose 3 games for that to happen. They're only 2 ahead, but they have to lose 3 games.
What's the next 3 games that the Dallas Cowboys have?
Don't know. We're going to dissect that coming up real soon. Troy Polamalu said, we also paid Shaq Barrett. Now he sucks. He's referring to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No, he's not playing like he's playing from before, but there's a lot of underlying reasons for that. They're getting a lot of separation on opposing offenses because the secondary isn't looking so hot.
Right.
There's the primary reason. The difference between an extraordinary corner and an extraordinary defensive end and or linebacker and getting pressure on the quarterback is 1 second. Let me repeat it. 1 second. There's analogies in horse racing. 1 second in a dog race is about 7 lengths. Just think about that. In a horse race, 1 complete second can be up to 3 full lengths of a horse. 1 second in football is the difference of me just touching the quarterback versus mauling the quarterback.
Sure.
There's a huge difference. So if you don't have a really strong secondary, you're not going to get that pass rush. If you don't have the pass rush, your secondary doesn't look as good. It's almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg? But that's for another conversation in itself, and I don't want to get into hypothecating here.
No, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. And at the end of the day, when you have all those injuries, Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, even though he's blitzing at a 40% clip, he's not going to do as many creative things as he did last year with the defense because you're depending on players that are 3rd and 4th and 5th guys. Get it through your head. It's the injury situation. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan legend. You will sit there all day long and doubt this team and say, oh, well, they didn't beat anybody last year. Really? They beat Washington. They beat New Orleans. They beat Green Bay. They beat Kansas City. That secondary, that defense was a part of it. You forget. You have selective amnesia, my friend. Honestly, go see a psychiatrist or something. Honestly, because you forget. You obviously got some problems with remembering how dominant this defense was. Obviously. And I get it. They lost to the Rams early on in this year. And they lost to Washington. And they lost to the Saints. But you saw some of this play last year. The only team that stops Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. Period.
Injuries. You're correct. Troy
Yeah.
Polamalu says Colts 2022 Super Bowl chance. That could be, but you never know. They're going to have to get hot at the right time. I think
you believe in Carson Wentz?
Not as much. We're going to get to that because those are some of the picks we're going to be talking about. We're a couple minutes behind. Pig Dog Video 2001. Harry, how would you characterize Keyshawn Johnson's time with the Bucs? I know they won a Super Bowl with him, but I almost feel like he's underachieved as a Buck. I have to tell you, anybody that doesn't get playing time is going to underachieve, but it's not his fault. He still has the victim of volume with Mr. Ronald Jones ahead of him, and he has Lombardi Lenny and a guy that they pulled in off the street for absolutely no reason in Giovanni Bernard, even though he should be Tom Brady's security blanket. But that's for another conversation on another platform.
Gary, he's not talking about Keyshawn Vaughn. He's actually talking about Keyshawn Johnson, the wide receiver. And I'll comment on this.
Jesus.
The Bucs traded.
He's not talking about Keyshawn Vaughn. Thanks. Okay. You comment on that one. I feel like a dope now.
Well, that's okay. And the Bucs, look, at the end of the day, they got to a point in 99 where they couldn't score a touchdown. Keyshawn Johnson has a conversation with Warren Sapp, and the rest is history at the end of the day. I think Keyshawn Johnson was an underrated wide receiver. I think he was overrated to a certain degree because he was never going to split a defense. He was never going to be able to take over games like a Randy Moss. He was clearly just a possession receiver, which was good in a John Gruden offense. So I don't think he was underrated. I think he was overrated, especially with the Bucs and trading 2 first-round picks for him. In fact, on that Super Bowl team, Keyshawn Johnson was even the best receiver on the team. I would say Keenan McCardell or Joe Jurevicius were better wide receivers than
Jurevicius. I love Joe Jurevicius back then. Got another question. Pig Dog 2001. Peter, if you were starting an MLB team, would you rather have Wander or Arizarena?
Well, that's a great question, but with the extension this week with Wander, you would think it'd be Wander, but both of those kids right now are the pillars, the building blocks of the Tampa Bay Rays. I like Wander because of his defense. Not only plays defense, and look, he has untapped potential. This kid is only going to get better. That's not to say Arozarena wouldn't be a guy I would start it with, but if you're putting a gun to my head right now and you're saying you're on the clock, I'm taking Wander.
I'm taking Arozarena. I think the Rays have enough defense. I love that offense. Facebook user, I heard we dropped Mickens this week and picked up Stills. Do you think he will start for us this weekend, or will they hold him out another week? I don't know. That's a great question.
I think it should be Jalen Darden at the end of the day and Scotty Miller.
Christopher Cole says, hey, Harry and Peter, what's your thought on the USF game today? You know what? I stopped watching it probably midway through the third quarter. USF was keeping it tight. I believe University of Central Florida ended up taking it. I don't know. Peter,
They
what
did
ended up happening?
17-13 USF. They showed a little bit, but they got a ways to go. Jeff Scott has got to get the right recruits. It's all about recruiting when it's in the state of Florida. And right now in 2021, Miami, Florida State, Florida, and USF are all having the same type of problems. Even UCF to a certain degree, although they've had success throughout the years. You've got to recruit in the state of Florida. You've got to get athletes, blue chip athletes, to come in right away and contribute. That is what puts you on the map.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Now let's go back to the Tiny 10 really quick, since we're up in the Midwest side up there. Ohio State's at Michigan, Peter. Ohio State's got everything on the line. This game was only 4, then 5, now 6, and you ready? Ohio State is still -7. It keeps going up and up and up. By the time this game starts, I fear this game may be 8 or 9 points, and Ohio State's on the road. I love Ohio State in this game. I think they're going to put a 50-burger up on Michigan. That's just my true belief. I think Harbaugh is a mediocre coach at best. I think Ohio State needs this win more than anything, especially for seeding. What are your thoughts?
I mean, you would like to see Michigan win, especially with Harbaugh and his record 0-5 against Ohio State. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like being a coach in the state of Florida. If you're a Florida State coach, you got to beat Florida at least. You got to beat Miami. And that's what Jim Harbaugh has not been able to do to beat Ohio State. I think the defense keeps a little bit closer. They got some NFL prospects on that edge. It's a little bit closer, but unfortunately, Michigan fans, it's Ohio State's year once again. Ohio State wins.
I don't see how Ohio State even – I don't see how Michigan keeps it close. They may keep it close for a couple of drives.
Sure.
Peter, I've been waiting for this guest to come. You know why? Because I want to start getting to some picks, because I always like to go around the horn. Formerly from a different platform. Now a man with absolutely no home except the one that he resides in the wonderful state of Dallas, not El Paso, near Dallas, the straightest man I know, Mr. Stephen Glasker.
Yay!
What up, guys? How you doing? Thanks, guys.
We're doing great, man. It's Friday night. We're talking football here. We're getting passionate.
Good to see you guys, man. Great to see you, Peter. Great to see you, Harry. Thanks for the invite, bro.
Oh, without question, man. Troy Polamalu says, guys, pleased. Okay. Troy says, guys, please don't talk about LaFlop. He will snitch and tell the police.
Well, you did see that.
I would love to talk about that.
That was somewhat disgraceful on both ends, because LeBron has that power to get fans kicked out. But if you read even further, what the fans were saying is absolutely despicable. Saying another man's son should die in a car crash. If that was true, then those fans should have been kicked out. Say whatever you want to about LeBron James, but he definitely does have the power in the NBA to do those type of things. Just don't say that. I mean, I get it. You're a fan. You pay your money to say whatever you want to, but you can't say another man's son should die in a car crash.
You know, may I speak to that? May I speak to that?
Go for it.
I am very familiar with the story, and I've been following it. That particular line, and you're right, Peter, if that was what was said, that would be true. However, that's not what was said. That is a made-up story by one person in a comment on a YouTube page. It is not found anywhere else, and the media who loves to suck LeBron's butt has been passing that around. It's not been said by anyone else, including the woman and her husband who got kicked out. She said, now again, it's a she said thing. She said he called her a bitch. And she said, F you, LeBron, and said some other choice things to him, like you probably a big bitch or something. But he got upset and had him kicked out. And here's my problem with this whole thing. LeBron is a massive beta.
Oh, yeah.
He looks like an alpha, but he's a big-ass beta. And when you're a professional sports athlete, and these people have 4 seats, by the way, which are not cheap.
No.
When you're a professional sports athlete, I don't give a F what they said. Bruh, your job is to ignore the fans and do your damn job.
Well,
Stop being a bitch.
You can't say 4-letter words. Wait a minute.
Well,
J-O-B. 3-letter words to me.
Steven, here's the reason, and this is so hypocritical by LeBron, because he's talking about, well, these guys are saying curse words and they're making faces and doing all these, all this stuff they shouldn't be doing. But yet he's telling the referee, there they are, they effing are to get them.
Nick, baby. Nick has been trending.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, this is the difference between Michael Jordan and the era of basketball and the era of LeBron James in this basketball. It is absolutely soft as Charmin. Nobody can convince me otherwise. They can't. Anybody comes on this show and says LeBron James is the greatest of all time, once again, go ahead and see a psychiatrist, because you definitely need your head examined if you think that fact.
Yes. I call him LeBron the man for exactly what you said. We're all old enough to remember the Jordan era of basketball.
Sure.
Y'all remember Jordan getting his ass beat by the Pistons on the floor. I mean, like they were playing football, tackling my guy.
Yes. Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, guys like that. Rick Mahorn. Those guys couldn't play in this day and age of the NBA.
Rodman could.
Oh, Rodman, yeah.
Rodman could. That big man right there. Can you imagine? Hold on, guys. Can you imagine some of the big guys going up against Rodman of today going, he touched
Rodman
me.
would eat him for breakfast.
They would have to call social services because they said he violated them. Are you out of your tree?
I mean,
I think Rodman said that they interviewed him. He said, and Rodman said that in the interview, he said they couldn't handle him. If they had to play him like with yesterday's rules, they couldn't handle him.
No,
he beat the hell out of those guys.
I'm going to say this is David Mosier. It says Facebook user Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think that's for you, brother.
David. I can see David missed me. Okay.
Yeah.
Suck,
Facebook user, 2 seats behind a woman. A guy videotaped the whole thing so somebody knows what's going on. That's a very, very good point.
Yeah.
You know what we're going to do, guys? We are going to talk some lines.
Okay.
We're going to talk about making some moolah. Okay. 3 for 3 yesterday. Okay. The Greek's on fire. Okay. You want a heater? Let's keep it coming. 7-2 last week. 3-0 already this week. And that's what I really love the most.
Very nice.
Gentlemen,
yes.
A barn burner. The New York Jets, they're at the Houston Texans. Houston, let me repeat this. I'm going to go full screen. Their favorite. Let me repeat this. Breaking news. The Houston Texans are favorites. 2.5 points to the New York Jets. Who do you like and why?
I like Houston because the Jets are, unless that white kid is playing, the Jets are just sorry.
Now it's got to be a white thing. Here we go. All over again. Oh, you're talking about the quarterback.
Yeah, Mike White, the quarterback.
You have to be a little more descriptive there.
Hey, man, you guys here are not the platform that has a race issue. I'll just put it like that.
I understand that. I understand that. I had to give that little zing. Okay, just zing.
There is one.
My expression or views are not necessarily of 1252 Sports. Peter, who do you like in this game? Houston's 2.5 point favorites against the Jets.
Yeah, you got to like the Texans at this point. I mean, they have confidence. They have Tyrod Taylor back at the controls. He at least gives them the chance to win the games. And the story has been this suffocating Lovie Smith defense. In fact, the Texans have forced 10 turnovers in the last 2 weeks, which is more than 7 teams, including Steelers, Ravens, Jets, have all season. Plus, Zach Wilson is back. He's looked miserable for the Jets. I like the Texans in this game to cover.
Oh, yeah.
Well, from what I understand, the Super Bowl winning quarterback, Mr. Joe Flacco, might be making his start and taking over. That could be a significant difference. Let me see. No. Houston Texans are going to win this game. They're a 2.5 point favorite. Hey man, I gotta hang with my boy Lovey. I'll tell you what. But nobody on this platform probably couldn't guess or even name 2 of their defensive starters. Okay, 3.
I can't.
That is how good of a coach defensively Coach Lovie Smith is. Probably not the best head coach,
Right.
but a really, really solid defensive-minded coach in who players want to play for. This team is going to be something special, in my opinion, through next year's draft, and as long as they hold on to Lovie Smith. I'm going to probably have to go to Houston, but I'm kind of leaning to going to Texas in this game and probably El Paso. Next game is going to be Atlanta at Jacksonville. Atlanta, 2.5-point favorites on the road. This is the 88% rule, guys, and the total's 45 points. What do you like and why?
I'm going to stick with the 88% rule, Harry. I'm going with Jacksonville simply because, A, I don't trust Atlanta. B, Jacksonville seems to win games when you think they should lose them. They're kind of up and down. They play tough on occasion, and this is a good matchup for them to play tough against. It'll probably be a close game, and then at the end, Jacksonville pulls it out.
That's what I'm going to probably say, Peter.
Yeah, I'm going to go to El Paso on this. I don't know who to pick. I mean, Jacksonville, they beat Buffalo this year. They have some big wins, and then they lose to the Miami Dolphins. And then Atlanta, they get Cordero Patterson back this week, which will help their running game and their wide receivers. But I got to go to El Paso. I got to pass on this game. Too close to call, in my opinion.
You know what? I was going to go to Texas on this game and go to El Paso, but I'm not. I decided I like the over in this game. The over is only 45. I like a very, very small position on that. We're going to go ahead and go back to the comments. Troy Palomalu says Michael Jordan ? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the real GOAT. Facts. You know what?
How so?
Well, hold on. I'll agree that in his time that he was a great player.
Yeah.
GOAT?
No,
bro. The only goat that you've seen is the sheep that you hear making noise in the mountains of Greece when you're fondling it. Stop.
No, I'll give Troy this. I can agree. I can understand his reasoning for that because Kareem was great in college. High school, he was great in college. He was great in the pros. He was a top flight guy in all three phases and unbelievable in his day. It just, by the time Michael came around, he's an old man. So, but in his day, Kareem was unstoppable.
I loved Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Sure.
Absolutely loved him. Bucks Report president says, we're eating popcorn and watching you guys.
Well, that'd be better than what you're doing over there. That's for sure.
That's true. Christopher Cole says VH3.
VH3?
Yeah, Vernon Hargraves the third. Starter.
Christopher is just so much smarter than me. Facebook user, I don't know who it is. I wouldn't be shocked to see Atlanta and Jacksonville game and then a tie. I kind of agree with that, but you know what? Honestly, guys, I do see a lot of points being scored here. I think Atlanta is going to put up huge points. And if you can get Matt Ryan cheap on fantasy, go ahead and jump on it. That way you can pick up a lot of really high-powered receivers in there. Let's go to the next game. This is when we start getting to the meat and potatoes. Tennessee and New England. Guys, no Derrick Henry. No Derrick Henry. New England's -7. That's a lot of points. And the total's 43.5. Peter, we're going to go to you first. Who do you like and why? Are you going to Texas?
I'm not going to Texas on this. I like the New England Patriots, and I'll tell you why. They are playing that brand of football where they could be the top team in the AFC. A DLG quarterback in Mac Jones, who seems to be getting better game after game. They're playing bully ball right now with running the ball and playing great defense. Tennessee is definitely missing a Derrick Henry. I thought Adrian Peterson was the answer. Obviously, he's not because he's not in the National Football League. My mistake. I'm taking the New England Patriots to continue with that momentum.
Steven?
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite route. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans. I would be more certain of that pick if Derrick Henry was playing. However, I think when it comes down to coaching, I think the coaching matchup works really well. I just think that certain coaches have Belichick's number, and I think it's going to be a good game because of that.
Wow, that's a great insight there.
Well,
I'm going to have to be the tiebreaker here. Who do I like, John?
You don't have any A.J. Brown in this game. You're depending on Ryan Tannehill, who has looked absolutely average lately. And against the Bill Belichick coach defense, I'll tell you right now, I like the chances of that Patriots team, especially being at home.
Great points on both ends, but I'm going to tell you right now, the Patriots are a better football team at this point in juncture because of the fact that Tennessee doesn't have Derrick Henry. And that really takes away the play action and Brown not playing. With that being said, They're 7-point favorites. That's a lot of points. And you're laying a lot of juice. It's -7, -125. And what that means is they're trying to beg you to bet Tennessee because you don't have to pay the additional juice. This line by game time, I will give this game out. If you can get 8 points in Tennessee, take it. If not, go to Texas in this game. Do not play this game. I like Tennessee a little bit at 7. I really, really like Tennessee at 8. There is a huge difference between 7 and 8 points. Next game, Philadelphia to New York Giants. What another barn burner. But actually, this has some significance. Philadelphia is a 3.5-point favorite, and the total's 46.5 at the New York Giants. Steven, who do you like and why?
I'm going to go to Texas on this go. I'm already in Texas. I'm going to West Texas, El Paso with this game. I just because I don't trust either team, and New York has a way of playing really well when you least expect them to.
You know, in this game, if you're trying to pick a side, I want to go to Juarez, actually, just a little bit south. Okay. Hey, man. I know my Mexican towns, okay, Holmes?
Holmes.
Peter, what do you like and why?
I like Philly in this game because you are what we thought you were, and that's Daniel Jones. He is a turnover machine. I've been saying it. He is not the franchise quarterback of it. Saquon Barkley did very little versus Tampa Bay. I like Philly right now. I like the way they're playing. And then on top of it, #1 defense versus the pass. That spells trouble. Can you say 2 to 3 interceptions by Jones? I like Philly in this game. Big.
Wow, that's pretty strong words.
Yeah.
Let's go back to this past game on Monday night when the New York Giants invaded the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Bucs were an extremely heavy favorite in this game. I gave out everybody on your platform that I absolutely loved the Giants in the first half, getting all those points. I ended up covering by 0.5 point and got very lucky. But then again, I've always said, gentlemen, I'd rather what?
Be lucky.
Be lucky than good, right?
Good. Yep,
okay.
Absolutely.
But in the second half, after watching that first half, I said, you can go right to the recordings,
Yep.
that if Tampa scored once in the second half on that opening drive, that the Giants wouldn't even score a point in the second half. And they didn't.
Nope.
And the play was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I did see something. And it wasn't that Tampa's defense was so dominant in this game. It was that the New York Giants offense was in such disarray. Right now, Joe Judge does not have this team playing very well. And Joe Judge right now is playing for his career in the National Football League. They better get it right here in the New York Giants Stadium. And let me explain something to you. The Philadelphia Eagles are only a 3.5-point favorite on the road because nobody really believes in the Eagles, but they definitely don't believe in the Giants. So for those reasons, I'm going to go to Texas on this. However, I like the under 46.5 in this game. I do not like the over. Play the under. But if you backed me into a corner, I'd have to take Philadelphia, and everybody knows I don't like playing two teams, especially a road favorite that's under 500 for the season. Even though they're playing better football than anybody in that division, they're still under 500. But I can say with confidence that I don't think there's going to be a ton of points in this game. And if there is, I think one team's going to blow the other team out and the other team's going to score less than 10 points. For those reasons, I like the under 46.5.
And I'll say this, Joe Judge can probably go back to the Patriots because that's where all coaches go when they leave Belichick. They usually fail, besides maybe Brian Flores, and that remains to be seen. So he'll always have a job in the NFL. It's with Bill Belichick. But you look at the coaches that get out of that Patriots system, they usually fail. And sure enough, Judge is doing that with the Giants, of course, with them firing their offensive coordinator. People feel like, they're going to change some things up. They have no idea what to do with Daniel Jones in that offense. No idea.
No, and it's a shame. It's a shame. You guys have a question or a comment for the Peter Greek or the Greek and Pete or Steve? 727-320-5866. That's 727-320-5866. I'm Harry the Greek along with Stephen Glasgow and my co-host, Mr. Peter Blake from the Sports Web. The next game on the line is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are invading the Indianapolis Colts. Indy with that ground and pound game and a very conservative type of offense, who, by the way, can light it up when they want to, and a defense that is playing absolutely lights out. Tampa Bay's only, let me repeat it, only a 3-point favorite. And I'll tell you something right now. It's been 2.5 all week long. And when the road favorite is 2.5-point favorites at game time, 88% of the time, the home team wins. So for all you Tampa fans out there, you're very fortunate it's not 2.5, it's 3. Peter, who do you like and why?
It's going to be a tough game because, look, this Bucs team at home, 5-0, over 30 points a game offensively, but it's a different story when they get on the road. They're 2-3, scoring 23.4. The key for this game is offensive line versus defensive line. The Colts offensive line versus that Bucs defensive line, and consequently, they're going to get back possibly Vita Vea, and also Devin White is not as injured as originally thought. With that being said, the main stat to look at here is the Colts. When they rush for 125 yards with Jonathan Taylor, they're 6-0. When they rush for under 125 yards with Taylor, they're 0-5. Book it. They're not going to get 125 yards of rushing against this Bucs team. Bucs win by 3.
Wow. That means it's going to be a push. Go ahead, Steven.
I like Peter's analysis. I was just thinking that the odds are Vita will be back and playing in this game. He's expected to play. The offensive line of the Colts is great. I'm excited that we're getting Devin White back because he has been playing lights out for the past 2 or 3 games, guys. I mean, he's been ridiculous good. So having Vita Vea back, having Devin White back is going to be awesome. I really wish this was a game Antonio Brown was playing in because I trust him more than some of the other receivers we have. But I distrust Carson Wentz immensely, and so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going with the Bucs, and I'll take the points 3.
Very good analogy. Tampa Bay's going -3 points, total 54.5. Vita Vea possibly coming back. Well, first off, you have to ask yourself a question. Why is the total in this game 54.5? Think about that for a second. They don't believe in this Tampa defense as much as you think. Khalil Herbert from the Chicago Bears in an absolute blowout ran for exactly 100 yards. This is Jonathan Taylor, folks, in a much better offensive line. 99% of the teams that play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming to the game not planning on running the football because they feel that they have to get into a shootout with Tom Brady and his offensive weapons. Very good reasons why. This is going to be a different story. They're going to try to play ball control for Indianapolis. I'm leaning toward taking the points, but I'm not doing it. I seen the switch turn on for this Bucs team versus that Giants game. Albeit, that Giants game, they weren't really pretty. And they beat up on a bad team, just like the Chicago Bears beat the Detroit Lions. You can only beat who's on your schedule. I love the under in this game. It's not going to be as many points as what you think. This is not going to be a shootout. 54.5 is ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous when you have a quarterback thrown for less than 200 yards a game right now, going with Mr. Carson Wentz. But on the other hand, the Indianapolis Colts has an extraordinary defense. DeForest Buckner is going to be a wrecking ball in the middle of that Tampa Bay line. Okay? Hate to say it. That offensive line is going to have fits with this Indianapolis defense. They will put 8 people in the box and dare the Buccaneers to pass the football. You know why? Because they're not afraid of getting late hits and penalties on this defense. They will take some shots at Tom Brady. That's the way the Indianapolis Colts team is built. They will play you very, very, very hard. You better be careful, Tampa. You're walking into a buzzsaw. You're going to turn the ball over at least 2 times in this game. Tampa still wins. That's not the pick I'm giving you. Play the under 54.5.
I like it.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
It's going to be this is the kind of game that both teams absolutely beat the brakes off each other.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have a ton of points, and the last possession is going to win. It's going to be ugly. This is going to be an ugly game. This is going to be not the Ram game.
Nope.
not the New England game. This game is going to be the toughest game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They will win this football game, in my estimation. There's just not going to be a ton of points. And I do think Tampa is going to give Indianapolis some short fields, but unfortunately, I don't believe in Carson Wentz. I don't think that Jonathan Taylor, even if he runs for $1.25 or more, you know what?
Yeah.
Stats are meant to be broken. I still think that they lose, but I do like the under in the game. All right, gentlemen. Carolina, 2.5-point favorite on the road at the Miami Dolphins. Another 88% rule. Steven, who do you like and why?
Oh my gosh! All I can think of the minute you started talking about this game was Deion Sanders going, "Ain't nobody care." but if I got to pick a team, I'm gonna go with Carolina simply because Miami is awful. I really want to root for Brian Flores, but Miami is awful.
So you're gonna go against the grain. I love it. Peter Blake and who?
Anyway. I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. Cam Newton is what Cam Newton is. He's a guy that is inconsistent, still can't push the ball down the field. I like the Miami Dolphins at home. I like the 88% rule. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins.
I can't go 88% here. You got to go with the 88% rule. I'm not giving you any other reasons other than the 88% rule. So for those of you that don't know what it is, I will explain it to you again. If a road team is favorite at game day at 2.5 points, 88% of the times the home team covers. The end. No other explanations. The end.
Yeah, and I mean, Tua's played better. This offense has played better, and this defense has played better.
They need Ryan Fitzpatrick back.
What? You know what?
Can't even stay healthy.
Don't make me leave this platform, please.
Right, Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's good and he's bad. He's inconsistent.
Peter, I like you a lot. Stop. Just stop it.
He hates Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I'm not a Fitzpatrick fan either. I mean, when they were calling for Fitzpatrick over Winston, I'd rather go with Winston over Fitzpatrick. People talk about, he started out 2-0 and you had 3 games of 400 yards. Yeah, what did he do after that? Nothing. Nothing.
Next game, Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers, which, by the way, one of my 2 losses last week. How they covered against the Chargers is beyond me. Okay. I mean, really? I mean, they look like they gave the Ben Roethlisberger the fountain of youth in that game, but don't be fooled. I'm going to go first in this game. Pittsburgh at Cincy. Cincy's -3. The total's 45 points. I'm leaning towards Cincinnati Bengals. I think that Joe Burrow is going to have a really good day. The Chicago Bears did expose something in the secondary, and a lot of teams are noticing it. That's why the Chargers put up a ton of points up against that secondary. Cincy's got a couple of big play wide receivers, and I'll tell you what, I don't know how Pittsburgh stops them. I'm leaning toward the -3, but I am going to tell you what I really do like is the over 45. I think Pittsburgh scores between 17 and 20 points. Since he takes care of the rest, I love the over 45. Peter, who do you like and why?
I agree with you on this. I like the over in this game also, and I think this is a crossroads game, if you will, for the Cincinnati Bengals. Are you a division contender or not? You take that next step, that 45-inch step, if you will, Marine Corps lingo right there from Marine Corps boot camp, by beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, the Steelers getting back TJ Watt, Joe Hayden, Mika Fitzpatrick, but once again, Ben Roethlisberger has seen his best days. I like the Cincinnati Bengals and the younger quarterback and a Joe Burrow and a Jamar Chase.
Perfect. How about it, Steven?
I'm with you guys. This is a 3-way agreement. I like the points, Harry. I like it. I like the over. I like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in that division. I know that's going to be blasphemy to the Baltimore Ravens fans, but I just think he is. The kids.
It's not blasphemy. He is the best quarterback in that division. You said quarterback, not running back.
Correct.
Simple. Sorry. I mean, that's just the way it is.
It ain't Baker Mayfield, that's for sure.
Nope, that's not.
God, he's awful. I mean,
he's just... when you want the alarm code to the stadium?
Yeah.
It's 6. 6? Shh. I love the commercial guy. Absolutely love the commercials. He needs
to make less commercials and more focus on
Let's
regression. That's a guy that is regressed. And I get it. You have injuries to your running back situation, but still making the same type of throws as a rookie, unacceptable. All right.
Tell me about it. Questions or comments, 727-320-5866. It's 727-320-5866. I'm your host, Harry the Greek. Welcome to the Over-Under on 1252 Sports Chicago. Alongside me this evening, Mr. Stephen Glasker, and my co-host, Mr. Peter Blake from the Sports Web.
Yes.
Hey, can I piggyback on one thing Peter said real quick? Because I'm in total agreement with him about Baker Mayfield for this particular reason. They have given Baker everything.
Yep.
Everything. Imagine if Joe Burrow had what Baker had. Joe Burrow has one guy as far as wide receivers concerned. He's got one guy, and they in contention to win that division, man. He's got one guy. And not to mention, Mixon's a great running back. Don't get it wrong.
Mixon, Boyd. I mean, they got T. Higgins. They got some weapons there. But the point is, once again, we talk about progression and regression, and obviously regression has happened to Baker Mayfield. He's not having the same type of year he had last year. And even with that said, you're still making those type of throws that are going to get you out of the league. You're not going to pick up your fifth-year option. You're not going to pick up a big contract because you're making the same type of mistakes. And NFL coaches and general managers don't like that. Eventually, you have to cut it off. And if you don't, then the quarterback gets cut off. And in this case, more than likely, Mayfield is going to get cut off. He's not going to be a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, and you can't blame OBJ anymore, because remember, that was the excuse before. Well, he can't play well because he's always trying to focus on OBJ. Well, he's not there now, so there's no excuses.
It's just a bad quarterback.
Peter, do me a favor. Go ahead and play some of the Greek intro music for me. We're going to take a 30-second break. You can still look live. We're not going anywhere. Go ahead and play some of the music. I just need to get a drink.
Love it.
Good stuff.
By the way, Harry, dig the haircut. Nice job.
Thank you, buddy. I actually got them all done. Hang on, let me see the receding line. That's perfect still. Love it.
Good job. Styling and profiling, right?
Yes, it is. We got a couple of comments to go through.
Okay.
Facebook user. So, Steven, are you saying that they need to trade Baker for Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick to get over the hump?
This is David Moser again. David Moser.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'm going to let you go full screen, and you can become Fat Mike wannabe.
David, you know what? On Ryan Fitzpatrick's best day, I would still pick Baker Mayfield over him, because he is the human embodiment of fool's gold. Exactly like Peter says, he'll play well just long enough to fool some team into paying him, and the moment you make him a starter, he turns into crap, which he's always been. He just polishes it up real nice so it looks good when it's money time. Please forget about Ryan. It's tragic. He sucks. He's always sucked. There's a reason he's been on 11 million teams in his NFL career.
What is your name?
I told you.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Oh, boy. Facebook user, I meant Steven. Damn, speak and spell.
Oh, by the way,
Facebook
guys.
user, I don't know who this is. Harry, you and Peter are big time now. Y'all need to get interns to bring in your drinks.
There you go. I agree with you. We definitely need that. You know, interns out there, you want to bring me a drink, rub my shoulders a little bit,
Nice.
whisper sweet things in my ear. Of course,
I can see Peter going, "Hello, me, papi."
What's that guy's name in Hollywood?
And Peter would be like, "Excuse me, guys."
Will you shut up and be quiet?
You're going to be the new Harvey Weinstein. Have girls bring you drinks.
Yeah.
We're going to get down to the nitty gritty now. Let's get to the last couple of
I thought
picks.
we were getting down to the nitty gritty. We're
We-
talking about women interns here. What's wrong with that?
Oh, God.
Hey, his wife walked behind a few minutes ago. We can't say anything.
I'm saying for me, I don't care about hair. I care about me. What about me?
Okay. I usually go, you want the discipline or the correction?
Oh.
Pick a side.
Listen to this. All right.
Tell me how that worked out, guys.
Jeez.
Minnesota at San Francisco. San Francisco, who's playing much better football. They're -3, totals 48.5.
Oof.
Peter,
It's a tough game to predict. I mean, you have Kirk Cousins, who's playing out of his mind right now for the Minnesota Vikings. They don't have a defense. San Francisco's playing well. I got to go to El Paso on this because I'm going back and forth on it. So I'm going to pass on this.
It's not El Paso, Peter. You're supposed to say, I'm going to Texas. And we say, oh, El Paso.
I'm going to Texas, all right, where the Cowboys don't win and the Texans.
We're going. Peter, so you're going to El Paso.
El Paso, yeah. I'm passing on it.
Steven, who do you like and why?
I'm going to West Texas with Peter, bro. This game. I mean, no. I'm going to West Texas.
So you're going to go to Juarez too, huh?
You know, there used to be in WCW at the end of it used to be called the West Texas Rednecks. It was with Kurt Hennig, the late great Kurt Hennig, Barry Windham, and they used to have a gimmick where they had a song that actually charted on the country charts. No lie. I hate rap, or rap is crap. Seriously. Look it up.
That is awesome.
Rap is crap. That's all they would say.
Here's not wrong about Juarez. El Paso is essentially northern Juarez.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's northern Juarez. Yeah. Hell, everybody's known that from the 80s through the 90s.
I feel like I should get that song up here. Hold on a sec. Let's see if I can find that really quick.
Which one? Hang on, for copyright reasons.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks a lot, YouTube. Are we on YouTube tonight?
Yes, of course we are.
All right, so I guess I won't do
We're
that.
broadcasting live on 1252 Sports, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Nice.
Also on Chicago Clubhouse Podcast on Facebook and Facebook and YouTube.
Wow.
And a various amount of different pages as well. As a matter of fact, I'm on so many different pages, I don't even know where the views are coming from. But talking about that, please make sure if you like the show, hit the like button.
Yeah.
Share the show. Put it on one of your friends' timelines.
Yep.
They may actually get a kick out of it. Who knows?
They may. Or they may be annoyed and block you.
Oh, God. Anyway, who do you guys like? Minnesota and San Fran. Peter.
That's just my friends. I told you. What was it now? Minnesota and
San Fran. San Fran's -3, and the total's 48.5.
Going to Texas on this, my friend.
If you're gonna make me pick, Harry, I pick Minnesota, but I'm going to Texas too.
Guys, I don't know why you guys don't love the over in this game. I really don't know why. Minnesota can't stop anybody. San Francisco's got a hell of a defense, but Minnesota's going to put up 24 points. Why aren't we saying that this game is not going to go over 48.5?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could go over 48.5, but just the way the NFL is this year, I have no idea who to predict in this game. So,
yeah,
that's my reasoning.
Christopher Cole, comment of the evening. You can't polish a turd, right, Steve?
David says, and I'll read this here. Harry, Peter, Dan Mullen is looking for a new job. Laugh out loud. Well, if he coaches like he interns, I don't think it's going to work out for us. Plus, I don't want his wife kissing on me. Sorry, I'll pass.
That's true.
On that.
All right, guys, we're going to get into some good games here. The Rams are -1.5. They are favorites in Green Bay. Matthew Stafford and company are coming to come see Aaron Rodgers. Guys, who wants this one?
I'll take it. I'm taking Green Bay. I'm thinking Green Bay is
why?
It's because it's late November. It's Green Bay, and I don't trust Stafford. I trust Rodgers more than I trust Stafford. Green Bay's defense isn't bad. They're actually not a bad defense. And the Rams don't. Maybe it's just me. They don't seem to play that well in cold weather. So I prefer Green Bay.
That's fair, Peter.
Cold weather, you got to run the game, and the Rams don't do that. And like Steven said, who would trust Matt Stafford at this point? He's reverted back to his Lions days. I don't care what anybody says. People are touting him as being the MVP of the league. The way he's played, he has played like a guy that doesn't want a job in the National Football League. I'm taking the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers at home.
See, so both of you guys, let me get this straight. Both of y'all are taking Green Bay at home.
Yeah.
Getting the 1.5.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be a close game. But again, I think it comes down to Aaron Rodgers. As much as we hate to say it, Rodgers is the key for the Packers.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my second best pick of the week. And I'm not taking a side. Again, I can't believe how you guys can't see the elephant in the room. The over and under is 47. Are you kidding me? The Rams are going to score 24 to 28 points minimum in this game.
You sure Stafford is not going to throw 24, 20?
Regardless, they're going to generate 24 to 28 points in this game. Okay. I mean, the game's going over. This is an easy over. This is an incredible game. Seriously. I absolutely love the over. This is one of the reasons why I actually waited to one of the last games to go ahead and pick. Play the over. It's one of my hot picks of the week. Cleveland at Baltimore. Baltimore's coming off that real convincing win. They're -3.5 at home against Cleveland. Total's 47. Who's playing quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens?
I mean, that's the key. Is if Lamar Jackson is back, then I'll take him over the Cleveland Browns. And even though the Browns are getting healthy with the Jake Conklin and, of course, the Kareem Hunt, I still don't trust a Baker Mayfield. So I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens and possibly Lamar Jackson playing in this game.
Perfect. Steven.
I completely agree with everything Peter said for the exact same reasons. Don't trust Baker Mayfield. He has regressed. They've given him everything he's ever needed. He has no, including getting rid of OBJ. He has no more excuses, and he's still not playing well.
I'm going to go to the comment, and then I'm going to give you the pick. Christopher Cole, another great comment. OBJ is why I'm taking Green Bay, but I want the Rams to win. I agree. He can be a cancer. Again, Cleveland and Baltimore. Anybody remember that game last year? Anybody?
Yeah. It was a high-scoring affair, was it not? Was it on Monday Night Football? Was it
again? Here's the elephant in the room.
Right, the
who's
over.
Playing quarterback? The over is essential. How could it be 47? Hold on, guys. Hold on. Ready? Tampa Bay and Indy is 54.5.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Huh? But this game is 47.
Well, because the Cleveland.
There is no because.
Well, Cleveland's defense, I mean, they have Miles Garrett, they have Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, it's not bad. The problem is the quarterback.
Here, just watch my finger and just keep watching it.
So you're up. Okay.
Play over.
All right.
Here comes the game of the week, guys. West Coast at the East Coast. The Seattle Seahawks are being hosted by the Washington football team. I almost did it. The Washington football team is a pick'em right now at home against Seattle. Total's 46.5. Steven, I give the honors to you to talk about Washington, sir.
Well, I'll start by talking about the Washington football team as well. Soon to be, I guess, the Washington Red Wolves is one of the names they've picked up. But I don't trust Taylor Heineke. He can play well at times. He can play poorly at times. Now, their defense is good. It's not nearly as good as it was last year. And I prefer Russell Wilson if I'm picking. So.
Peter?
I'm going to go with the Washington football team because that's exactly what I've said the last 2 weeks, and Taylor Heineke has proven me wrong. So I'm going to go with the Washington football team. Right now, Russell Wilson should be a New York Giant by next year. The way he's playing on that offense, he doesn't want to be there. monumental disappointment with the Seahawks. I like the Washington football team.
Well, that's a pretty good insight. Washington in a pick'em. Tyler Heineke, lack of scoring with Seattle. It's hard not to go with Washington, really. Seattle's really playing that bad. It's pretty bad right now. I mean, it's a shame to see what's happening to poor Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Tyler Heineke, I think they're going to get it together, even without the two best players for Washington's defense.
Yep.
Total in the game is 46.5. I kind of like the over.
You like the over in this game with Seattle struggling, and I don't know. I mean, I guess you can see it.
There's a reason.
Yeah,
there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to get it together. This is a must-win for Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a really important win for Washington as well. I said I kind of like the over. Very small position. I do actually love Washington at home in this game. And Peter, I don't know why you went full screen.
I don't know. That was you, buddy.
Facebook user. I think Washington wins by 3.
Yeah.
Who was that, by the way?
David Moser.
Hey, David.
I think Russell Wilson has just enough pride that he doesn't want to lose to Washington. Washington is not very good.
I mean, you still have.
Not very good.
I'm just sad. I know if I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why the game is a pick-em is because Fitzpatrick's not playing. If Fitzpatrick's playing, bro, here's 7-point favorites.
No, I agree with that. I definitely agree. Fitzpatrick.
Stop it.
Difference.
Stop it.
All the difference in the world. Either 7 this way or 7 that way.
Gentlemen, I got a couple of questions for you. Steven, you had Thanksgiving yesterday. Tell me some of the things you were really thankful for, if you don't mind.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I have an incredible family. I'm thankful for them to all be healthy and doing well. I have an awesome girlfriend she was up literally till 3 a.m. baking and making sure everything was the night before till 3 a.m. Thursday to make sure everything was just right. She did a phenomenal job. And on top of that, so thank you for allowing me to do this, Harry. On top of that, she gave me a late birthday. My birthday was in October, 4 days before hers, in fact. She gave me a late birthday gift, which is, I don't know if you guys
wow, that's pretty cool. I see it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Look at that ring.
That's the replica ring for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl ring.
It doesn't the top remove off of it? It's got the pill stash in there for you?
Yes, there it sure does. It's got the little Coke stash. I mean,
that works for people in Newport Richie and Holiday. That's what we call that.
No place really in Holiday. Peter, tell me. Thanksgiving. How was it? What were you thankful for, bro?
I mean, it was a great Thanksgiving. Ate as much as I could. I got my gravy on the turkey and the mashed potatoes.
Nice.
I definitely made out like a bandit, and I'm thankful for guys like Harry the Greek here, professional handicapper, 1252 Sports. I'm thankful for Platform. I'm thankful for Stephen Glasker and fans that continue to support these platforms nonstop. I love all of you guys. I love you. I'm thankful for you. And just keep on supporting us, and we'll keep out the great.
Well said, Peter. Well said.
Without question. Steven, go ahead and promote yourself, buddy. I know it's a short list.
Yeah, I'm going to be seen wherever Harry wants me to be seen. And if Peter decides he wants me to be seen too, I'll be seen there as well. But I'm excited. Thank you, Harry, for having me on. As I said, I love being with Harry and Peter. They're great guys. The show's always fun. I'm very happy, contrary to popular belief, to not be a part of the other platform because they appear to have an issue with tan. And so I'm very happy to not have to be involved in that anymore. So thank you very much, Harry, for having me here.
Anytime, Steven. Pleasure. My pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for coming on. Love your insight. Love your chutzpah. Get it? The chutzpah. Oy vey. Anyway, Steven, have a good one, brother. Talk to you next week, okay?
You got it. Y'all take care. Thanks a lot. Hey, Peter, great to see you, bro.
Yeah, man. Good to see you, too. Always welcome on the evolution of sports talk television. All right, boss?
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Harry. Appreciate you.
Good night.
There you go.
Stephen Glasker. What
Love
a class act, man.
He is
what
a class
act.
He is. Absolutely.
Peter.
Yes.
You think it's time?
I think it's time, yes.
You know what?
What's the time?
Facebook user. I kind of blame Russell Wilson for his own problems. You take that big contract. There's not much money left to spread around. I don't know, man. Peter, I'm going to let you talk about that one. I don't know if this is Russell Wilson's fault. And I mean, number one, first off, Russell Wilson didn't even want to be there this year. He knew what was happening. What are your thoughts?
I mean, what was the reason why Wilson didn't want to be there? Because this organization didn't do enough to put the players around him with the offensive line. Well, here's the simple solution to that, Russell Wilson. Take less money. If you take less money like Tom Brady, then maybe you're able to re-sign all your other players or go out into free agency and put those players in necessary pieces like an offensive line, like maybe another running back. Who knows? Maybe improve that defense. Instead, you devote so many resources to Russell Wilson and you'll wonder why you're in the situation you're in. I absolutely blame Russell Wilson for this situation. Take less money. How about that?
Absolutely. Peter, tell everybody where they can find you.
All right, guys, it's the evolution of Sports Talk Television on Monday and Wednesdays at 9 o'clock on NSPN. I love St. Pete. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake. 3 things for me on this Black Friday edition of the Over Under on 1252 Sports. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about.
You're always bringing that passion. I'll tell you what, this is a pretty good game right now between North Carolina and North Carolina State.
Really?
Yeah, actually a really, really good game. Ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate you guys tuning into the Over-Under. As usual, you will see us on Friday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. We're going to see you guys next week. We're going to go ahead and recap these plays for the week coming up on Sunday. New York Jets at Houston's Texas. Go to El Paso. Atlanta at Jacksonville. I like the over 45. Tennessee at New England. Kind of leaning towards Tennessee. Philadelphia at the New York Giants. Play the under 46.5. Tampa Bay at Indianapolis. Under 54. Carolina at Miami. Take Miami plus the 2.5 points because the 88% rule. Cincinnati's at home against Pittsburgh, -3 and over 45. Stay away from the -3. Play the over 45. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game. Chargers at Denver. Chargers are 2.5-point favorites. Again, you're supposed to go to the 88% rule and take the home team. Can't do it. But what I can do is play the under 48.5 points. I think both teams are going to play really good defensively, and I don't think Denver's going to be able to put up a ton of points. Minnesota at San Francisco. Frisco's -3. The total's 48.5 points. I do like the over. Rams at Green Bay. Rams are -1.5. Kind of leaning toward that way, but I love the over 47. How it's only 47 points, I have no idea. Cleveland at Baltimore. Again, Baltimore 3.5-point favorites. Total's 47. That game is a definite over. And Seattle at Washington. It's a pick'em game. Take Washington. For all your betting needs, make sure you tune in to the Over-Under on 1252 Sports out of Chicago, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. For my co-host, Mr. Peter Blake, and myself, Harry the Greek. Always, 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 ladies and gentlemen, as I always say, make sure you keep your bets low and make your returns high. Or make your bets low and keep your returns high. Take care. Thanks for tuning in.